Gaffer, it's been just over a week since the squad returned back into training. How's the mood in the camp been?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they're absolutely fine, and they obviously worked hard for the number of months that they were off, albeit I think for 2-3 of those weeks they weren't able to do much because of the weather. Listen, they're reasonably fit. They're certainly in good spirits. You know, they're all desperate to play football. You know, but the type of training you've got to do and get match fit is very, very different, and we're having to try. Listen, put it this way: I've been a manager 22 years, and I don't know what to give them. I'm just shooting in the dark. So we're trying to get them as fit as possible, because I think that's really crucial for the amount of games we're going to be playing. So yeah, but listen, when they first come back, I mean, they are in great spirits, and they're raring to go, but we need to get their bodies raring to go as well as their minds.
It's the same for every team coming back. I think that's obviously important to remember.
Yeah.
We played the bounce game out on Firhill. Did that help give an indication of what sort of stuff you could do this week?
Yeah, listen, I think there's certain boys that are like Sabanigan and for Penrith, Gordon, and for example, are all naturally fit. There'd be no problem. Other guys that are a bit bigger, like, you know, and I don't mean heavy, but you know, a great example is Dan Brownlee, who was arguably our best player at the games that we've played, but how many games we've played. He takes sometimes a wee while to get going, and a really good pre-season is really important to him. So he's got to try and get up and running quickly. So it's all different. Not everybody can take the load of work, and not everybody is really naturally fit. They need to work at it. So, but you know, as I say, you're right though. Everybody's in the same boat, and the only thing I'll say is that takes away. Maybe that takes away the edge of experience I've got, because we are all absolutely in the same boat about how we're going to train players, how we're going to get them fit, how we're going to approach games, etc., etc. It's just a very unique situation.
One of the things that dominated for the first half of the season was the injury list. It seemed every week we were losing players.
Yeah.
How does that stand just now?
Well, listen, yeah, I mean, it was really awful, and I'd like to think most people know I didn't make a big deal about it, because, you know, still. You know, and I would never slag anybody for missing penalties, but we scored 2 penalties, we're a point off the top of the league with a game in hand. And even last season we scored 2 penalties, we're still in the championship. So I was pleased with a lot of things that happened, and not pleased with 1 or 2 things. But it looks like Tamaware's a wee bit behind the others, but he may be back this season. Ryan Williamson, we hope, will join training on Thursday, which means he won't play in the first couple of games. Brian Graham, the problem is that Brian Graham, Ryan Williamson, Ross Tockett have got these tight injuries that we can't be really sure about them. Brian's back in training and he's been doing really well, he looks fit, but you know, if a headache comes back, then obviously it's a serious problem. Ross Tockett, he got a little jag on Wednesday, and he should be back running. He was doing quite a lot of running, he was right up to speed, but he was getting a little bit of pain kicking the ball on his knee, so hopefully that'll sort that out. I don't think any of them, apart from Brian Graham, will be back for the opening game, but it'd be great to get them back, you know, like a week to 10 days after that, because the games are going to come up, as you know, thick and fast.
One of the good signs we've seen from training was Jamie Snedden back into full.
Yeah, well, he's went. I mean, there are 2 great examples. I mean, Kieran McKenna came back in and played at Falkirk on the 26th of December last year, and then he's not played for 3 months. That was his first game in about 2.5 months, so he's played 1 game in nearly 6 months. He's back looking fit. Sneds has had a really, really hard time of it. You know, I wouldn't even go into the stuff that went on with his knee, but he's back in full training, and he's been training really, really well, so it's really good to get him back.
You've been very busy in the transfer market this week. Let's talk a little bit about the additions you've made, and there's only one place to start: the return of Chris Erskine to the club. Yeah,
Graham, but before I do that, I just want to say that you know, we talk about the signings. I mean, honestly, since I've come back to Firhill, the initial thing that happened to us, and then the money side of things, and then this lockdown, you know, I came back to a club that was really, really, really struggling in it. For me, it was a long-term job to try and change things, and I did that in that January after having some good results. But you know, that January, I wouldn't go back. I would still do the same thing, because I think we got some good players in that time. But that wasn't borne out, whether it was proved right or not, because we didn't get the opportunity to finish 8th, and everybody will know that story. This window, we had 5 players ready, lined up. I mean, I won't mention them all. Some of the guys, a lot of the fans will know who they were with some of them in the press, but there was 1 or 2 others that's been knocked in the head completely because of the lockdown. So we've had to go in a different route. I felt like we needed a lot of players, and at times it's maybe better the devil you know than you don't know. Erskine, as everybody knows, he's a bit of a legend at this football club, and he's on his first game back in the bounce game, I think you guys were at it, he scored his first touch, he put one in the top corner, and his second touch he nutmegged Darren Brownlee and stuck it in the bottom corner. So frankly, I don't understand why he left here, but he's back. It's probably just short-termism. Everything's short-termism. If he can play in 3, 4, 5, 6 games, or come on and make a difference and make a goal and score a goal, he'll be invaluable. And I know you're going to ask for the next ones. I've brought in Andy Geoghegan and Stephen Bell. They're 2 players who I know, who are real good players, and more importantly, they're really, really good types. They're absolute warriors, and so far they've been excellent in training. And I'm very aware that they won't play a lot of games. Listen, for example, Geoghegan is not the type to start a game and then try and get through 90 minutes. He will just blast 60, 70 minutes at 100% and give you what he's got. So I'm delighted, and even Stephen Bell in training, the way he talks has really, really helped some of the other players. Really helped them already. So I'm delighted. They're 2 of my old players and I know them well. Well, Erskine, there's 3 of my old players and I know them well. So it's a very short-term hit, but they're right up for the challenge, and hopefully they can do the business.
You've also added 2 other players. You've got Ross McKeever, the striker that comes in from Motherwell. Yeah,
I mean, he's a player again that I've seen play once. That's the other thing is, when I signed at my previous club, 1 or 2 players, you watch them 4, 5, 6. You just can't watch players now. You can't watch under 20 games. You can't watch reserve games. But I've seen Ross play, and we've done a bit of background into him. And one of the most important things, particularly when I came back, he was the type of people they are, because I felt that was a serious issue. And every person to a man has said he's a top boy, and he'll get opportunities, because we're quite light up front. We've only got Zach and Brian's in and out strikers. We've got a few players that can play number 10, so he will get opportunities to play and to score goals. So it's a great chance for him, and we're delighted to get him.
The other addition we've made was the loan signing of DeVine on loan from Rangers.
Yeah, we had at one point, I think we had 7 or 8 defenders, and we were really well covered, but we had a couple of injuries. I decided to let Brig Breeny go, and the only reason that happened was because Senna has been outstanding, and I think my hunch is he'll remain outstanding for his time at Thistle. So he's a right back, and believe it or not, he's one that I wrote in my book after we played Rangers maybe 6 months ago at Murray Park, or whatever it's called these days. He's a young player, but he's one of the ones that they've got real high hopes for. So I think the idea they wanted to get him involved in the first team squad, and he'll get opportunities as well, because I was very aware we had to get 5 or 6 players that could play different positions, and most of these guys can. So I'm delighted to get him.
So that means we've filled all our loan spots. Is that our business done?
No, well, maybe not. We're trying hard. There was a guy that was due to be coming in a while ago that had to be knocked in the head from down south, who's another forward. And we're going through processes of trying to make sure that we're okay to sign him. The SFA has said there might be a problem, but we're in constant touch with him, and so I'm hoping that will get done, and then that would be it's a real volume of players. I usually like working with 18, 19 outfield players. There'll be more than that, but the volume of games means that you're going to have to get that. And as well, that was the thinking behind the 3 of the Belly, Squiddy and Andy Geoghegan. It was, I'm not expecting these guys to play 12 games in 4 weeks, but I think they'll be able to handle 4 or 5 games, and they can all come off the bench and they can keep the level of training up. Even some of our players, I wouldn't expect Brian Graham to play that amount of games. So it'll be okay. See this amount of games, that's okay if you've been training, working, training, because you look at League 1 in England and League 2 in England Championship, they play 3 games a week for quite a while, but it's constant. It's because it's been stop-start. So if we get this other chap, who, to be fair to him, I won't name him just now, that would be us, and we just, we play our hand and we go for it. It's a crapshoot now, that's all it is.
In the trading pitch, we've also got the young academy players in. They've likes of Billy Owens, James Lyon, Mason McCready. They've all come and joined and been part of our bubble for the rest of the season.
Yeah, these guys, Gospel and Billy Owens, Mason and James, will all be getting offered contracts next week. Jerry and I are meeting with the parents. I like all of them. In fact, I love watching young James Lyon. I think if there's one thing, there's not many things I do well, but I do know a footballer when I see one, and he looks as if he's got a serious chance. So it'd be great to get these 4 guys. And the great thing is when they come in with the first team, they're not overawed, they don't let themselves down, and then you see Richie Foster talking to them and trying to help them, and at times when a young player's out of his depth, you don't get that. But with these guys, it's been great. So I don't expect them to play this season, but it's a really encouraging time for it. I've really enjoyed watching them and really enjoyed them at their work and training.
We've got a friendly this weekend against Hearts. How important was it to get a game before we started the competitive action?
Well, yeah, our great friend Hearts. Obviously we went through the same type of things, albeit ours was a bit worse than theirs. But it's great. Like Robbie phoned me for a game, and the thought process was maybe getting a smaller opposition, but I think there's a genuine bond between the two clubs now because of things that happened, and although it won't be the 11 that start on the Saturday in their game, that their squad is such that it'll be a very, very strong team, and looking forward to it. And I don't think many of our players will full 90 minutes. We'll play the full 90 minutes. We'll probably change it around a good bit. But I think even if guys get an hour in their lives, it'll be invaluable, because after that, as you know, Graham, it'll be Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and that isn't easy.
Finally, this week marked 1 year since we were last able to welcome the Thistle faithful into Firhill, and it's hard to believe it's been a year.
Well, listen, I think one or two of our players have struggled with I wouldn't say mental health issues. I know I've struggled with it. I can't imagine what it's like being the fans, but I know there's a strain of thought going round that people are getting used to watching games on the telly without fans, but our game is nothing without supporters, and I just can't wait till they come back. And whether you get stick or they cheer you, it doesn't matter. They're there and they create an atmosphere. It's what it's all about, and it's made it. I made a point on Sports Round the other night there that I feel during COVID the job of a manager has come under so much scrutiny, so much untoward scrutiny, that it's been absolutely bang out of order, and a lot of people have lost their jobs. The job has completely changed, and part of that is fans. We need fans back, and I've had some great days at Firhill with the supporters, some great away days. I've had some not so good ones, but you still need them. You've got to have them, and let's just keep our fingers crossed that the vaccine keeps rolling out and we get to a point where we can certainly get 2,500-3,000 into Firhill.
Gaffer, thanks for your time and thanks for providing this update.
Cheers, Graham.